Hi, this is Catherine, and welcome back to Taking Tea with Catherine. I'm drinking the same tea I drank quite in a recent post because I'm filming this back to back. This is Tower of London tea. It's a favorite. What do you want from my life? But I love it, and I need the energy from its little bit of caffeine to get me through yet another haul. So that was my cat meowing, if you heard him in the background. He's been so loud lately. I think he's telling me off for buying so many books. This is part two of my last haul of the year. I think I may have a couple of mystery, like Agatha Christie-ish books coming in. Just a couple. But I'm not going to even worry about that because I already did my fiction mystery haul. I think most of these books are nonfiction, if all of them. I'm not sure. But either way, I think we should get started and, yeah. Alright, so I have been hunting Book Off way too much lately, and it's dangerous in the sense that it's not like I spend so much money there. Usually, there's occasionally a book that will cost $5, $7.50, whatever. But most of the books I buy there, I buy from the $1 section, or $2 if it's like a bigger book. Because, yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of money. But these books were appealing to me. Sometimes I buy books that in the long run I think, why'd I buy this? But yeah, most of the time the books I buy though, there I will end up liking or somewhat liking, and if I really, really don't like them, I will just bring them either to, sell them back or bring them to the little free library or something. I have been unhauling some books lately. I just didn't find them interesting enough to diss them on camera. So that's good, making space, although really the amount that I'm unhauling. So anyway, I would really like this to be my last haul, not only of the year, but until I go away to London in the spring. I doubt that'll happen because I'm crazy, but anyway, let's just hope, I'm not gonna do a book buying ban, but I'm gonna do a book buying, goal to not get as much. Let's see how well this works. All right, I'm gonna start with the Book Off books, and this I found for $1. I think it was shelved in the wrong section because they didn't have a tag on it, and the woman actually asked me where I found it because it's a brand spanking new looking book. Although it's not a new release, but it's let me see, it came out in 2009. So yeah, it's like 10 years old. But as far as the actual book quality, it's quite new looking, and the lady asked me where I got it, and I very honestly said I found it in the $1 section. And so she put a $1 sticker on, and Bob's your uncle. But it's Homer's Odyssey, and by Gwen Cooper. Again, it's still brand new, but it's not a new release, so I don't feel so bad that I only paid $1 for it. I wouldn't feel bad either way, let's face it. This is, it says a fearless feline tale, or how I learned about love and life with a blind wonder cat. I read a book of hers either early this year or late last year about, life and cat house or something like that. I don't know if that's the exact name. I had gotten it from the library, but it was Gwen Cooper's memoir of her life with her cats and some of her previous cats, and this was her blind cat Homer, who looks adorable, who I know has since died. So there may be a death bit in this. I may end up crying a little bit, but I still think that I did want to read this book, so this wasn't like a, out of nowhere read, so I'm kind of happy that I found it. I hope to read this soon. We'll see. And it's a New York-ish book, so I like that. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, sorry. I have to stop reading things in the back while I'm showing it to you. But I've been trying to get to another, I did a book about books about New York, that take place in New York, whatever, and I'm trying to do a sequel to it, but I need to read more books so I can feature them to you a little better. Anyway, on that note, well, not on that note, totally off that note, another thing I found $1, and I don't know why I picked this out, but the Cheese Chronicles, A Journey Through the Making and Selling of Cheese in America, From Field to Farm to Table by Liz Thorpe. I like the picture in the front with I think it's goats, and which I know is not the reason I should ever buy a book. Are they goats? I think they're goats. I'm an idiot. I'm very much a city girl. But I do like cheese a lot. It's a problem actually, because I'm probably lactose intolerant, or at least lactose sensitive. Although not all cheeses have lactose in them. Did you know that? Or maybe they have the enzymes that are that make it easier to digest. So not all cheese are bad. Either way, though, I've had doctors tell me to lay off because my cholesterol's a bit high. I've had, times where I've had bad colds, and it's like the last thing I should be doing is having dairy, But I love cheese. I'm sorry, I just love cheese so much, and I'd like to learn a little more about it. I'm never going to get into the cheese business, but I have to say, it's nice to know a little bit about it. And this is another one I found, and I mentioned a couple of times how I'm really into the Pre-Raphaelites, and I am, very much so. And this guy was an encourager of the Pre-Raphaelites. I don't know if you can call him one himself, but he was very much an important part of their lives in many ways. And I read one of these, doing a stretch. This is not it. But anyway, it's one of these penguin little black classic things. But anyway, of that, it had two of his talks or essays in them, and one of them was pretty good, the other one wasn't so much. But he was a good writer and good essayist and good art appreciator, artist. I think he did some art himself. I don't know. Anyway, so I saw this, and it's Ruskins Rose, a Venetian love story. I don't know how I'll feel about it, but it's supposed to be based on something that happened with John Ruskin, falling in love with someone, and what happened to it. And I just think it's a beautiful looking book, and it has all kinds of little things in here like this, and I thought it's very much in line with what I like. So here it is. Oh, it's falling. I took this book out of the library when I saw it in a bookshop, and as always, I always have too many books out of the library, so I returned it. I have to say, I don't even know if I was crazy about it from the beginning, but I did want to know what happened next. The beginning wasn't that great, because I think she went on and on establishing who she was, and I was like, I don't need to know, you don't have to prove anything to me. Let me know about your life now in art school now. That's the theme. So, but I found this for $1, so I thought I'm going to give it another chance, and that's Old in Art School, A Memoir of Starting Over by Nell Painter. That is a great last name to be in art school. So it's a very heavy book. When I say that, I don't mean mentally heavy. It might be though, but it's astonishingly not an easy one if you have wrist issues, which I don't struggle with all the time, but I've seen threats. But that's a story for another day. It is what it is. It is what it says. So I would like to read this. I like memoirs. You'll know that. And I'm gonna figure out if this is also a New York book. I'm trying to figure. Well, Princeton University, Newark, Rhode Island. Okay, not New York, but not far. Newark, by the way, is in New Jersey, but it's considered a New York airport. It's very weird how that happens. It's like New York teams that were in New Jersey. I don't know what New Jersey people must think of that. But, whatever. So this is a book that I got, and I read reviews, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to read it. But it was $1. Animal Madness: How Anxious Dogs, Compulsive Parrots, and Elephants in Recovery Help Us Understand Ourselves by Laurel Breitman. Now, on the surface of it, it sounds really good, but from what I heard in the reviews, there's some really sad stories about mistreatment of animals. That can be hard for me to get through because I'm sensitive. I'm very sensitive about animals, but I will try it. And again, for $1, if I really can't handle it, it can go elsewhere. I could put it in a little free library by the school and traumatize someone else. It does have a sticker in it with a TED sticker. I don't know if that's TED Talks or what. And it's got a little raccoon underneath it. But, I do like reading about animals, but I'm a little scared. But I'm overly sensitive anyway. So here's an advanced reader copy I have, which I have to start reading. So this was, I didn't pay for it, but I have to review it. And it's called Disfigured, on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leduc. So it's basically that. It talks about, disability in fairy tales. And I kind of find it interesting because, yeah, a lot of times you see the one who's got the, something wrong with them, as it were, and they're usually treated as kind of bad, right? Am I wrong? So I really don't know what I'm talking about that much, so I want to know more about what I'm talking about. And there it is. It's such a nice little, easy, totable book. I mentioned this last time, I think. I went to Central Park to the kiosk of the Strand, and you know, I found a book about Central Park, an anthology, and I love Central Park, so I'm surprised I haven't read this before. I'm like, have I? But I guess not. So I may end up reading more about Central Park. Because if I'm not reading about London, which I love, then I'm reading about Central Park. New York. Central Park, the Central Park in New York. I don't know if I need to say that, but I mean, sometimes I need to explain myself a little bit. So, all right. Now, Freddie, I'm trying not to collect things just on aesthetic or just because I like the publisher or the way it looks, but sometimes I do that. Let's face it. I mean, I used to buy those little, is it Modern Library? Anyway, they fall apart so easily. It's like, I have like this one, the Barchester, Modern Library, Barchester, Towers in the Warren. And I used to find so many of these that I could and collect them, like the Viragos as well. This one's falling apart though, so I don't know if it was the best collection idea. But I have, Barnes & Noble, and I think it's called something else. Freddie's distracting me again. Freddie, do not play with my stuff. He's a cat. I can't tell him. I used to collect the Barnes & Noble Collector's Library, and Freddie bangs into things and knocks them over. We love him anyway. Okay, am I adjusted now? You can sort of see... I can't do it. You can sort of see over here my Barnes & Noble Collector's Library. It has to be over a decade ago that they came out with those. And I used to just, any classic that I liked, a lot of Jane Austen's, etc., but a lot more. I used to just get them whenever I could. Especially if I had a coupon, So I have a lot of those, and I think this is like the equivalent in recent years of the Pan Macmillan, is that what they're called? The Pan Macmillan Collectors? Let's see. Well, Macmillan. Where am I here? Pan Macmillan? I think that's I'm so clueless when it comes to, yes, it is an imprint of Pan Macmillan. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about a little bit. These are so cute. But I didn't want to buy them just because they're so cute. I'm not going to just buy a book, especially if I already have the book. But even so, because I've seen some of these in McNally Jackson. Is that what it's called? McNally Jackson. I get confused because I think in Canada one is one. There's like McNally Jackson and McNally Robinson, and I always forget which one is which. But the whatever McNally one is in Soho, New York, I saw a number of them, but most of them were classics that I had already, and I didn't see the point in getting them just because they look cute. But I thought, when I see ones of reasonable prices online, for instance, by the way, the rest of these books will be books that I purchased online, whether they were Amazon, thrift books, book outlet. I think that's it. I finally did a book outlet, by the way, and it was pretty good. Anyway, so if I find a good deal, I'm going to get them. So I found My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. I know there's like a series on public television, at least in America, it's in public television and Masterpiece or whatever it is. And I haven't watched it yet, and I think it's based on these books or this book, so I'm going to read it. And I just thought, it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I shouldn't buy things because they're beautiful, but they are. And this is a little bit, it's got a tiny bit of dirt on it, but I think I could probably get it off. And this will come as no surprise to you why I picked this one. London, an Illustrated Literary Companion, compiled by Rosemary Gray. So Rosemary Gray, let's talk. Great picture of the statue of, I think, Eros in Piccadilly Circus. I am going to love this. In the back it says, when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life, which I think is Samuel Johnson. And I've always liked that quote. So yeah, London. All right. I mentioned in my favorites, I briefly mentioned Thomas Paine as someone I know very little about, though he was kind of a founding father, and involved in like the Revolution, etc. He wrote Common Sense. But I found this book, and I couldn't resist, about him, The Trouble with Tom by Paul Collins. And I thought, yeah, I want to read this. Not just because it's about Thomas Paine. I think I would have just been like, maybe I'll read this, maybe I won't. But Paul Collins, I read a number of his books. I read Duel with the Devil, which was about a murder trial that Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr were on the same team defending the same person, which I thought was a good story. I read a book about his experiences of his son with autism. I think it's Not Even Wrong, I think it's called. And, he gets a little more into the history of persons with autism. And I also read a book, which was the first book I read of his, which I loved, called Sixpence House, which was about his time in Hay-on-Wye, Wales, which is a book town. I don't know if it's the first book town, but it may be. And I still want to go there. I still haven't been there. It's a goal. It's been over 10 years that I've been wanting to go there. But I have so many books anyway. I live in a book town. But it's just such a cool idea that the entire town is, I'm sure there are other businesses like hotels and restaurants and shops or whatever, but it's basically just used bookstores one after another. And if you all, commenters, guys, if you've been there, I want to hear your experiences. Leave a nice chunky comment down below if you've ever been to Hay-on-Wye, what you thought of it, where I should stay if I ever go, what's your favorite bookshop there, what did you buy there, anything. If you've been and you had a post about it on a blog, booktube, whatever, let me know. Maybe not the link itself, but let me know that you did, and I'll find it, because I am still quite a fan of it. And anyway, so long story short, this is totally not related to that, but the writer, he did a good job writing about that. Oh man, I really want to go there. And I really want to get a hold of Sixpence House and actually have that in my collection, but no rush. This is called The Electricity of Every Living Thing by Katherine May, another kind of memoir about a lady who finds out she has, I think they call it Asperger's here. Asperger's. It's called something different. Now I think it's all enveloped in autism, so basically she finds out she's autistic, I guess. And how she copes or goes over her life with that. That's all I know about it. I think the cover is gorgeous. I know it's not all about the cover, but I just think it's beautiful. And I like the name Katherine. Spelled differently than mine, but Katherine May. Brian May. See? Let's make everything about Queen. All right. So the next book is, I think you guys remember recently I read, if you've been watching, I read a book about foxes and foxes on Earth, which was fantastic. Mostly with respect to England, though, Britain. This book is a little more about foxes itself, apparently. And it's called The Hidden World of the Fox by Adele Brand. Look at that beautiful fox in the beginning. So yes, I'm a bit obsessed with foxes. I carry a bag that has a fox face on it, a backpack. People think it's a squirrel, it's a sheep, it's a cat, it's a dog, it's like a Rorschach animal. But it's a fox. And I have like all kinds of fox things, fox shirts, fox necklaces, fox, I'm a little crazy like that. I've mentioned that before. When I like something, I like something. So I want to read a little more about foxes, and there it is. And this goes into different places, from the Yucatan rainforest to India's remote Thar Desert, from subarctic Canada to metropolitan London. So yes, a little London in there too. So yeah, this one is from Book Depository, it seems. Okay. I didn't mention that before. Okay, actually the last three are all from Book Outlet. I remember that specifically because I just got these. Now this is very much in line with what I intend to read next year. A Girl Walks into a Book. What the Brontes Taught Me About Life, Love, and Women's Work by Miranda K. Pennington. I just love that. Girl walks into a book. It's very Jasper Fforde or Pages & Co. and all those kind of things. Very Catherine friendly. And I guess it's just that. So I want to read this in tandem with at least one of the No, that's Jane Austen. I'm thinking Jane Eyre in my brain. With one of the Bronte books. I'm already reading a lot of Bronte nonfiction with the fiction, so I'm trying to figure out when to fit this in. Maybe when I read Jane Eyre? Am I going to read Jane Eyre? Let's do this! So yeah. I mentioned Lucy Worsley and how I wanted to read more of her books, and I just did a rewatch of the Victoria series. Which I know it's fictionalized, but a lot of it's based on facts. It plays around a little bit with the time period, but it's accurate enough that unless you're a crazy nerd about history, which I'm almost there, but for the most part, it works. The last series with her half-sister coming in there, that is not my favorite character. I really hope she's not back. But anyway, I hope that's not a spoiler. But this is an actual, and it has a blurb by the writer of that series. Um, so that's good. But this is by Lucy Worsley, who I really like her stuff so far. And I'll also mention the book I read of hers, Jane Austen at Home. Queen Victoria, 24 Days That Changed Her Life. I've heard about this. People have said good things about this. It's also a beautiful cover. I don't think that the actual inside cover is going to be much. Nah, it's not much to look at. So, but the dust jacket is gorgeous. So, oh yes, I do love reading history and biography and Queen Victoria. I've mentioned this before. One day I'm going to actually talk about Queen Plady, Jean Plady, and how reading about the young Victoria and growing up at Kensington Palace kickstarted me into a full throttle history love. And so I always like reading about Queen Victoria, and I will continue to do so until I croak. Now, last but not least, I already own Pride and Prejudice, but I saw this and I got online for a lot cheaper, so I don't feel so bad that I got this. It has recipes alongside the actual novel of Pride and Prejudice by Martha Stewart. She didn't write Pride and Prejudice, but she does these recipes and scones. Hello, and I can barely. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, the classic novel with recipes for modern tea time treats. Yes, maybe I'll actually start baking, but if I don't, I can also read Pride and Prejudice in here, and just I'm actually due for another Pride and Prejudice reread. I have to admit, and I'm probably going to talk about this again when Jane Austen July comes along, I've done a lot of soul searching. I did a ranking of my favorites, and my favorite is still Persuasion, and I said my second favorite was Sense and Sensibility. I still love it, but I think that Pride and Prejudice might now be my second favorite, and Sense and Sensibility might be my third favorite, even though I love all the Jane Austen novels, but Sense and Sensibility, although I still love it, I love the story, and I think I got attached to it more because I love the film so much from the 90s. It just, as a book, it just maybe dragged to a point where it just made me love Pride and Prejudice a little more, because Pride and Prejudice is just slightly, mind you, slightly more succinct and action-packed, as it were, if that makes sense for Jane Austen. So I want to reread Pride and Prejudice and, confirm that to myself, though. And these recipes look good. Maybe I'll actually make something from here. Maybe. I also want to reread Emma. All right, so I think that's enough. And that is enough. Those are all the books. Again, comment below if you've read any of these. If you want to hear more about these books when I finally read them, feel free to subscribe, etc. So, hope you've enjoyed my little crazy haul fest. This has been Catherine from Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely haul or not haul filled day. Bye.